On Christmas Eve, as the candles flickered across my parents' table, my father set down his fork and said in that steady, unmoving voice of his, "Your sister was born to create beauty. Alma, you were born to carry weight, and on a night meant for generosity, you should honor your role. If you cannot, there is the door." This story is an original creation by the writing team of the Revenge World channel, inspired by the hidden corners of family life, and told with the purpose of fostering emotional connection and spreading understanding. I felt the room tighten around me. My mother's hand froze above her glass. Cielo smirked like she had been waiting for this moment. She tilted her chin toward me. "Dad is right. You function best when you are supporting everyone else. It is kind of your talent." The word scraped against something raw inside me. I kept my voice even. My talent. Cielo shrugged. "Some people shine. Some people stabilize. You know which one you are." My father nodded, satisfied. "Exactly. You keep this family steady. That is what you were made for." The truth slid into place so cleanly it almost did not hurt. They were not even hiding it anymore. I set my napkin down slowly. "If that is how you see me," I said, "then you will handle the bills from now on." My mother blinked. "Alma, do not make a scene. It is Christmas." Cielo laughed under her breath. "She is jealous again." I pushed my chair back, the legs scraping against the tile. "No, I am done pretending this is love." For a heartbeat, no one moved. Not even me. Then I stood and walked away from the table, the weight I had carried for decades finally loosening. If you have ever stepped out of a room where you were only valued for what you could give, tell me where you are listening from. You are not alone in choosing yourself. I was barely 12 when my father first handed me the store keys and said, "You can lock up tonight." "Alma, you are responsible." His tone made it sound like an honor. It was not. Cielo wandered behind him, her fingers streaked with paint. "Look, Dad," she said, holding up a messy sunset. "I made this." He grinned in a way he never grinned at me. "That is talent, mija. Pure talent." Then he glanced at me. "Make sure to clean the brushes before they harden." I remember standing there, smelling acrylic and dust, thinking how quickly praise flowed in one direction. Years later, when I was 15, I stayed late balancing the register after a chaotic holiday weekend. My father walked in, checked the numbers, and said, "Good, you should be fast at this by now." Cielo breezed through the door wearing a scarf someone had gifted her for being an artist in progress. She twirled once. "Do you think I should host a pop-up show, maybe charge admission?" My father lit up. "We will make it happen." I kept my eyes on the ledger. "I can set up the tables." I offered, the habit automatic. Cielo smiled sweetly. "You always know how to make things run. It is your gift." My mother chimed in from the doorway. "Your sister has vision. Alma, you bring structure. Every family needs both." But it was always clear which side of that equation they believed mattered. I learned to measure love through labor, approval through usefulness, safety through performance. And every time I stepped in to fix something, they stepped further away from ever seeing me. Even then, I understood one truth in the Vega house. Stability was not a strength. It was a sentence. By the time I reached my early 20s, my life had expanded far beyond the narrow aisles of Vega Art and Supply. I earned a scholarship, finished my degree, and eventually stepped into the role of art director at the Flagstaff Museum of Contemporary Culture. My father never asked what that meant. He only asked how much I earned. When I told him, he nodded once. "Good. Now you can help your family properly." The first time he mentioned the mortgage being late, I did not hesitate. "I can cover this month," I said. It felt harmless, like tossing a rope to someone I loved. A month later, my mother called. "Mija, the supplier invoice is overdue. Only a few thousand. Just until we get through the season." I paid that too. Cielo sent me a message not long after. My collaboration fell apart. I need $4,500 to keep the brand interested. You understand how rare this chance is." I replied, "All right, I will transfer it." She sent a heart emoji. My parents did not send anything at all. Eventually, the transfers blurred together. $1,900 for the mortgage. A few hundred here, a few hundred there. My father would say things like, "You are good at stability. Alma, you do not panic the way your sister does." My mother would add softly, "It is only temporary. Cielo never pretended. You know I cannot do the boring stuff. That is what you are for." The longer I supported them, the more invisible I felt. They bragged about my exhibitions to friends, then turned to me privately and said, "Do not forget where you come from." I never did. I just never realized how far they expected me to sink to stay part of their world. I did not plan to walk out that Christmas Eve. I drove to Sedona because habits are stubborn, and hope is even more so. But after my father's speech and Cielo's smirk, the room felt smaller than it ever had. As I stood from the table, my father pushed his chair back and followed me into the kitchen. "Do not twist my words. Alma, I am reminding you of your place. Every family needs someone dependable." I kept my eyes on him. Dependable is not the same as disposable. My mother stepped in, wringing her hands. "Please do not ruin the night. Your sister is sensitive. You know how she gets when tensions rise." Cielo leaned against the doorway, arms folded. She cannot handle a little truth. That is the problem. I faced her fully. "You want truth? You would not last one day doing what I do." She lifted her chin. "I am the reason this family has dreams. You are the reason it has bills." My father's voice sharpened. "Enough. Alma, sit back down and stop acting dramatic." The last thread snapped cleanly. "No," I said. "I am done performing usefulness for people who cannot see it." My mother whispered, "Do not walk away. It is Christmas." I stepped past her. "That is exactly why I am walking." Outside, the cold bit at my face, but it felt honest. When I closed the car door behind me, the silence did not sting. It steadied. I drove back toward Flagstaff knowing one thing with absolute clarity: I was finally choosing myself. Jace was sorting through a stack of prints when I walked into our apartment in Flagstaff. He looked up the second the door closed. How bad was it? I hung my coat and answered plainly. Bad enough that I am ending it. All of it. He did not rush toward me or pull me into a hug. He just set the photos aside and waited, which was exactly what I needed. I told him everything: my father's speech, Cielo's smirk, the way my mother begged me to stay quiet to protect a holiday none of them protected for me. My voice did not shake once. When I finished, Jace asked, "What do you want to do now?" I opened my laptop. "Stop funding my own disappearance." The bank login screen glowed blue. My fingers moved faster than my thoughts. I canceled the mortgage autopay, first $1,900 each month, gone with a click. Then the supplier line. Then the business card access. Every account they leaned on, every financial vein they drained, I shut down. Jace set a warm mug beside me. "Anything else?" "Yes." I drafted an email. Effective immediately. I am ending all financial contributions to the Vega household and Vega Art and Supply. Remove my name from all shared documents and accounts. Do not bill me again. I typed my name slowly at the bottom, as if sealing something ancient. Jace read over my shoulder. "That is clear. It has to be." I said, "Clarity is the only thing they understand." When the message sent, a quiet settled in the room, not heavy, just final. I opened another file: my plans for the museum's winter exhibition. I scrolled past the old title, paused, and erased it. Boundaries. The word felt right in my chest, like a boundary was not just a line but a doorway I had finally walked through. At work the next morning, my assistant, Lila, glanced at the updated schedule. New title, Yes, I said. It came to me last night. She smiled, not asking why, and I realized the shift was already happening, not just in the exhibition, but in me. The first signs arrived a week after New Year's. An email from a supplier slid into my inbox by mistake, forwarded from the store's account I had been removed from. The subject line read, "Final Notice." I deleted it without opening. It was no longer mine to handle. By the second week, my phone lit up with my mother's name. I let it ring until voicemail. Her voice cracked through the speaker. "Alma, the mortgage is behind 2 months. Your father is stressed. Please, mija, just help us this once." An hour later, my father called. He did not waste time. "You made your point. Now fix what you broke." I answered, "I did not break anything. I just stopped holding it together." "You think this is a game?" His voice sharpened. "You know how to talk to the bank. We do not." "I know," I said quietly. "And you never learned because I was always doing it." He inhaled sharply, as if the truth offended him. Cielo's message came next. "You are sabotaging my career. The store is collapsing. Brands are backing out. You did this because you hate that I shine." I typed back 3 words, "Handle your life." That was when Aunt Maribel called. She never called unless it mattered. Her voice was low. "Alma, the IRS sent an inquiry to me because I used to do books for the store. Your parents claimed consulting deductions under your Social Security number. 2 years' worth." My stomach dropped. "I never consulted for them." "I know, which is why you need to file a separation affidavit immediately. You can clear your name, but they cannot." After hanging up, I filled out the forms, attached scans of every statement proving my lack of involvement, and submitted them. Then I drafted one final message to my parents and to the store. "I am aware of the improper tax filings. I have filed the necessary documents to separate myself legally. Do not use my name or number again." I did not add anger. I did not add explanation. There was nothing left to explain. When I closed my laptop, Jace walked into the room. "You okay?" I nodded. This time, the weight is not mine. And for the first time in my life, that sentence felt true. The opening night of Boundaries filled the museum with a low, steady hum of voices. Collectors drifted toward the suspended mirror installation at the center of the gallery, their reflections fractured across a dozen imperfect shards. I stood beside Lila, answering questions, steady in a way I had not felt in years. Then the room shifted. My parents walked in. Henry looked smaller than I remembered. Sophia clutched her purse like it might anchor her, and Cielo trailed behind them. Mascara smudged as if she had cried on the drive up from Sedona. They approached me quickly. My father spoke first. "We need to talk. The bank is threatening foreclosure. Suppliers have cut us off. You need to fix this." I held his gaze. "I do not." Sophia stepped forward. "Please, Alma, we only need $5,000 to catch up. Just a little help." Cielo's voice pierced through her desperation. "This is your revenge. You are punishing us because you hate that I am the artist." I turned toward the mirror installation. Their warped reflections hovered beside mine. "This piece," I said, loud enough for those nearby to hear, "is about inherited fractures. The cracks families pretend not to see." Henry stiffened. "We are your family." I nodded. "And for years, I glued every fracture together, every bill, every mistake, every burden." Cielo scoffed. "You are being dramatic." "No," I said. "I am being honest. You did not raise a daughter. You built a system and plugged me into it." My father's voice broke for the first time. "We need you, Alma." I breathed once. "Steady. If you have a problem, there is still the door." A silence spread through the gallery wide. Undeniable. My family turned away, each reflection shattering again across the glass. And I did not follow. By early spring, The Vega house in Sedona was gone, sold for barely half its value. The store followed soon after, shelves cleared out, windows dark. I heard pieces of it through others, Henry taking a late shift loading trucks, Sophia selling small watercolors at weekend markets, Cielo working at a framing shop in Cottonwood, quieter than anyone had ever seen her. None of them called me again. I moved into a small adobe loft in Flagstaff, a place with clean lines and quiet corners. One evening, Jace stood beside me as I adjusted the final piece for my new exhibition. After the dust settles, at the center hung a single shard of mirror framed in wood. The label beneath it read, "What breaks you can free you, if you stop carrying the pieces." Jace touched my elbow gently. "Does it feel different now?" "It feels mine," I said. The words settled in my chest with a calm I had never known. He nodded. "Then it is the right ending." I looked at the mirror shard, crooked, imperfect, honest. I was not repairing anything anymore. I was living. If you have ever stepped away from a place that asked you to shrink to be loved, tell me where you are listening from. Your story matters here, and someone will hear their own in yours.